exploded. And I had a feeling it would. This is a 2013 Dom Perignon that I've had for a very long time. I never think any moment is good enough or worthy enough to celebrate with something fancy like a bottle of champagne. But this 100,000 subscriber milestone on YouTube, I just got chills even saying it, is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And I'm not kidding. So this is to all of you. This is a big cheers. And I'm not gonna spill. Okay. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, every single one of you, for subscribing, for being part of this community, for commenting, for giving a damn what I'm posting every week, and just making my day, making my year. So thank you so much, and cheers to you. It's good. Honestly, it's really good. The plan for this vlog is an Ask Me Anything. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me in questions, and there were a lot of repeats, so I'm going to prioritize the questions that are just asked the most. Although I will say that I feel like a lot of people on Instagram don't watch the vlogs, and you guys are definitely more aware of certain aspects of my life, but I'm going to answer a lot. I'm going to also answer some niche ones, and I hope that this is a fun little vlog with you. If you're of drinking age, I suggest you also open a bottle of Dom and drink champagne, or just pour vodka in a cup. That works. Chill it first, you know, a little something. A martini. I actually told myself, I was like, I'm not going to really drink during this. Here, I'm going to finish this. For sure, going to finish it. All right, this first question, I've gotten a ton of these, and that is, what is your actual job? What do you actually do for a living? There's a lot of questions like this, and they all have the word actually in them, which I find snarky. What do you actually do, you know? Ooh, would you ever say that to somebody in person? As many of you guys here know, but maybe you don't, which is why I'm answering this question. I worked in advertising for ad agencies. I was a social media strategist. That is what I did up until I was about 26, right? So over 10 years ago. I quit my job in agencies. I started working freelance doing social media strategy. And I was trying to start my own social media agency. I did that for a couple of years. Nothing really ever panned out. I discovered the business model, print on demand, which is what West Willow is. And West Willow is my custom pet portrait business that I've talked about many times on this channel. And there's many videos on this topic, including how I started my business, which you should go back and watch if you're curious, because it's where I've gone into the most in-depth in those videos. So West Willow is, you know, how I found my lifestyle, my wealth, to call it, to be blunt about it, and my success. I bought my apartment from West Willow. All my major life milestones with regards to what I have been able to afford in my life come from West Willow. Another one of the questions here is, do I have a trust, family money? No. I do not have a trust. I do not have family money. My parents saved up for college for me and sent me, enough to go to a state school, and that was incredibly generous of them, and I am forever grateful to them. But, besides that and raising me, my parents never paid for my bills or my life or my apartment, nothing. This is all from hard work. And you can do that too. And maybe I'm going to be doing something in the new year that is helpful to you with that. Stay tuned. So West Willow, it was a big part of my success. And then 2 years ago, I started doing social media. And social media is a huge part of my success and a huge part of my business, which I never in a million years would think that social media would become just as big of a moment for me as West Willow. And to this day, I focus more on my social media career and this platform and you, because it brings me a ton of joy and happiness. And I see a huge amount of potential of what I could do with this platform and the growth that I could have. That's not to say that West Willow is going anywhere. It's most certainly not. I just have a lot more passion these days for social media, and that is the short of it. What age did you come out? I don't think I've ever talked about this. I came out in between my freshman and sophomore year. I also transferred. So I went to School of Visual Arts my freshman year. I was never out. And then my sophomore year and until I graduated, I went to Fordham University. In between that summer is when I came out. And it was it was the summer that I knew that going into Fordham, I wanted to be out. And I don't really remember why. I think I was just tired of hiding it, honestly. And I remember that I went home that summer to Long Island. I had a job. I was actually working at a home goods store in East Hampton, commuting every day from the house Long Island, which was over a 2-hour drive each way, crazy. And I was working there with my best friend, Brittany, at the time, and we worked in this little store. And I remember that summer, I was on the Human Rights Campaign website, hrc.org, if you know about it. Wonderful organization. And I was reading all about coming out, and I found a lot of peace with reading that. And there were a lot of things in there that I just was like, this could never be me, which is unfortunately the reality for a lot of gay youth who come out, which is your family might reject you. They might stop supporting you. They may kick you out of the house, right? So a lot of the coming out sort of questions and answers on the website were about, facing that. And also like saying like, maybe you shouldn't come out if you do fear that your family would do that to you, right? Like if you grew up in a really conservative area or super religious family, like they might. I knew that my parents were not going to do that. I knew they were going to be supportive, and they were incredibly supportive. And I'm so grateful to them because of that. So if this describes you and you are somebody who is questioning coming out or questioning when to come out, I would say to you, there is no good time to come out. There is no magic moment. I don't know that doing it at the Thanksgiving dinner table is the best time, but the advice that I've given to, I remember somebody who was, asking me a lot about it. The advice that I would give you is your part, right? All you have to physically do to whoever you're coming out to, whoever's most important, let's say it's your parents, is all you have to say to them is, Mom, Dad, I'm gay, right? 2 words. And then it's out there and you're done. You're done. It's not like you have to like erect a building from brick. It's just 2 words. And once it's out there, it's done. It's completely done. Now, obviously there's aftermath and, there's going to be conversations and questions that you might dread, but like talk about the sigh of relief after you say it. That's the mentality I went into. And I remember I went downstairs so shaky and I was like, I need to tell you something. And they were like, what? What is it? Because they could tell that I was like, shaky. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And I know it's really hard. Advice for starting on YouTube/social media. I started YouTube about 2 years ago. I started social media a little over 2 years ago in August of 2023. And I didn't go into it being confident. I'll tell you that. And I went into it nervous and scared and kind of ashamed of what people were going to think and my friends. And I started new accounts. I have my personal Instagram that I've had forever. And I just started everything fresh, everything new, and just started posting. And it was cringe and it was awkward and it was weird. The advice that I will give to you, if you are even remotely thinking about it as you sit there, and if there's even an ounce of what if, or I wonder, this could be cool and I feel like I'd be good at it, and whatever your sort of why is, your motivation, you should act on it. Most people won't act on it. Most people will not post to social media. Most people will not become successful from social media. Most people will not turn this into a career. You will be most people if you never post. It's a stupid piece of advice that is 100% true and hard pill to swallow. My advice to you is make 10 videos. You do not need to post them, but make 10 videos. plan them out. Think of it as starting a business before you launch your business and before you make it available for people to buy your product. You're thinking of the logo, the branding, what you can write on the product pages. Make 10 videos, short form. I'm thinking short form, not YouTube specifically. And just draft them, write the caption, edit them, get better at editing from making those 10 videos, and then start posting them. Post 1 a day for 10 days. You could post 2 a day for the first 5 days. I guarantee you one of those videos is going to perform better than all of the rest. And that is all you need to keep going. One video is going to tell you a direction. Wow, that's super interesting. This video did better than all the other ones. I wonder why. And I don't know what your niche is or what you're trying to do on social media, but that will give you a direction and a why, and also a little bit of that dopamine that you need. Like, whoa, this one got 1,000 views. Those got 400 views. I wonder what I can do to replicate that. And the truth is, because your following is so low, maybe you can learn something from that one video and repurpose it for the other 9 and see if changing the hook or the style or the script or the voiceover or the speaking to camera, whatever it is, can get that performance up on those other videos, right? So repurpose them, re-edit them, and tweak them to see what works. That's my advice to you. Start in your own bubble where knowing, you're protected, make your 10 videos, and then draft them. The reason why, and then I'll stop talking about this, the reason why you should do this versus post one and then make another one the other day is because you may lose motivation after one video flops or doesn't perform well, or you're like, whoa, 60 views, not worth it, I'm done. If you have 9 other videos that you already made, chances are you're not gonna just not post them. You're gonna be like, I have them, I might as well post them, right? So having that bank of 10 to start is just kind of like gonna gives you a little more runway, and it gives you more opportunities to succeed. This is a fun one. What was it like for you the first time you were recognized in public? I remember it distinctly. Brendan and I were coming back from Mexico. We were staying at the Rosewood Mayakoba, which I vlogged. Maybe you remember. Comment below if you do. And this straight guy, like so handsome, comes up to me, young, and he's like, "You're Ben Taylor, right?" I was literally like, I think I had a smoothie in my hand. What? And I completely froze. And he was like, I was just watching your videos. I love your videos, blah, blah, blah. And Brendan was he was like kind of shocked too. And it was a really surreal thing. I think I had only seen, my numbers and my following as a number before, and not as real people are watching you. It's not bots, right? Which is still like a foreign concept to me, but it was a funny experience. And ever since then, I sort of said to myself, you need to figure out what you're going to do when people come up to you and how you're going to interact. So, which is to me like shaking their hand. Thank you. What's your name? So cool. Great to meet you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for saying hi. By the way, if you do see me in public, you should come up to me and say hi to me. It makes my day and I love it. So please do. What is the best part of New York City to live in? This is a nuanced question that has a lot of factors, and majorly, it really does depend on your budget or how much you want to spend on your living expenses, which in New York City are some of the most expensive places in the world to live. I would say, if you're thinking about downtown, I would try to live in Soho. I think the West Village, like west of Hudson, is a really amazing place to live with amazing restaurants and nightlife. The Lower East Side is a cool place if you're younger. It's a little too young for me. I've lived in Hell's Kitchen before. I lived there for 10 years. You can actually get a lot of bang for your buck there, and you're very central there. I really love the Upper West Side. I think that there are so many beautiful townhomes and places to live. Not that you would live in a townhome, but just to be surrounded by beautiful brownstones is such a cool, very New York City vibe. Brooklyn, I'm not that familiar with Brooklyn, I will say. I've never lived there. Most of my friends live in Manhattan, but I also have a lot of friends in Brooklyn, and I've gone to Brooklyn many times. Williamsburg is essentially Manhattan. It's more expensive than Manhattan in some places. Park Slope is a very neighborhoody place to live. So it really does depend on your budget. if you've never looked at New York City apartments before, I mean, the sticker shock is going to be insane. So yeah, I live in Soho. I love it. I've been here for 5 years in this apartment. I bought this apartment in 2021, and I have no plans to move. Kind of in the same vein, will you ever leave New York City? Thoughts on the West Coast? I have thought about it, and I talked about this actually on a vlog. I have thought about moving to LA and the West Coast and better weather and a car and a yard and a house. It sounds very appealing to me. The problem is my family is all here. I grew up on Long Island. My family is all East Coast based. Brendan's family is here. The life that we built for ourselves is here. The life that we continue to build for ourselves is here. That being said, there is always that sort of like, what if, couldn't we do something that's more interesting or interesting and change up life for a bit? I don't know. The answer is I've thought about it, but it probably will not do it. How did you and Brendan meet? This is a fun one. We met at my Christmas party that I have every single year. And he was a guest of a guest, and we met, and we talked very briefly. We don't even remember the conversation because it was so brief, and it just was fast. And I'm hosting the party, so I was all over and kind of, just in my element and talking to people and drinking. Speaking of drinking, then we met in Miami later, like a couple weeks later for New Year's, which was planned, and which is why he was a guest of a guest, because my friend who invited Brendan, he had this dinner planned for New Year's, and he was like, why doesn't Brendan come to meet you before we all have this dinner on New Year's? Great. And it was like a table of 10 of us at this. And Brendan and I, that was like the first time we kind of were like, had a little bit of a spark, and like our legs touching under the table at the group dinner. And then I went to LA. Speaking of LA, for 2 months, I rented a house there just to get out of New York City winter. And when I got back in late February, we went on a date, and that was the last first date I ever went on. And that was it. And that'll be 3 years this February. So pretty cool. How old is your Frenchie, Zoe? As you guys all know, Zoe turned 9 this year, and I thought she'd be right here. No, she's in the office. It's freezing cold, so she's in the office where the heat's pumping, and she's in her little bed. But she is just turned 9. She is incredibly healthy and energetic and just a beautiful little girl, and she changed my life. I walked by my apartment in the West Village that I got her in when I lived there, which is crazy that was 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And it's just crazy how much of my life she's been part of, and how much she's seen and she's been through. And she's really been my number one constant, thing in my life for that amount of time. And it's just so cool that she's been with me. I think any pet owner feels that way with your pet, like, wow, you've really been with me through everything. And it's just such a beautiful thing. Favorite hotel in the world? I think the Bulgari Hotel. I'm laughing because whenever we stay in a Bulgari Hotel, it's all we do is talk about it in those vlogs, and I sound like I'm like Donatella Versace, like Bulgari. Like Brendan and I stayed there in Tokyo. It's like there are 5-star hotels, and then there's Bulgari Hotel, and it's a boutique feel. It is every single person who works in the hotel knows who you are, what room you're staying in, what your preferences are. If you ask for a side of dressing when you ordered the Caesar at lunch and you order the Caesar the next day, they remember and they bring you the dressing on the side. It's truly an incredible hospitality experience, and it makes me want to go to all of their hotels globally just to experience what it's like to stay in all the different ones. And I think that speaks volumes to just, the brand that they're building in terms of obviously there's a huge jewelry brand and luxury brand, but in terms of hospitality, it's probably not the first thing people think of when they think of luxury hotels, but it certainly should be. And that Tokyo hotel is new, and it was just given a 3 Michelin keys, which is the highest Michelin keys you can get. And yeah, if you ever have the opportunity even to visit one for a drink, you should. What is your next big purchase? To be honest, I don't really have a list of things that I want to acquire because I don't need more things. And when I do buy things, it's usually comes from a place of, I'm traveling, this would be fun to have on that trip. Or, oh, I saw this person had this and that looks really kind of cool and interesting. And there's nothing right now that I need. I spoil myself, and you guys watch it ad nauseum. So there's nothing that I particularly need right now that is going to change my life. My next big purchase will be a second home. And this is something that I have been dreaming of for years. Even before owning this apartment, I wanted a second home. And it's going to be in the Hamptons, and it will be soon. So that is really the next big purchase. That is where all of my money savings has been going and will continue to go. And hopefully within the next 2 years, that happens. And you guys will be along for it. And it will be such a fun content journey when that does happen. But in terms of big purchase, like there's not a bag that I'm dreaming of or a watch that of course there are, but nothing that's so significant other than a house, a second home. Also, there are a ton of questions on skincare routine and skincare products. So I think I just need to do more skincare videos because it's just like a ton of questions. Any goals for 2026? And this will be my last question. I think it's a good place to leave you guys at. I've done a ton of thinking about 2026, and I will give you sort of very practically speaking what my goals are. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat them, or I think I thought I was going to try to wow, how am I going to approach that question? I'm just going to tell you what my goals are. I want to get to 1 million. I want to get to 1 million followers on Instagram. I would say that is within 6 months away based on how I'm trending. I want to build 2 new income streams for myself to diversify my income streams, right? When I think about social media as an income stream, 99.9% of my income comes from brand deals. I don't have control over brand deals. I can't go out there, campaigning for myself and get brand deals the same way like a real estate broker could go and get more listings if they try harder, right? As a creator, you really just need to be in demand, and brands are going to want to work with you based on your following, the quality of your content, your demographics, your reach. So, for me, that's going to just come with doing more of what I'm doing and make sure that I, innovate and stay relevant. But that's not guaranteed, and I don't like that. That doesn't make me feel safe and secure in my, longevity in this career, which I most certainly want. So there are 2 additional income streams that I want to build out for myself. One is potentially starting another brand, a direct-to-consumer brand. And the second is something in the consulting space. I already hinted at that once in this video. I'm not quite ready to talk about it, but those are the 2 ideas that I have for next year that would make me very happy. And I would say the second is West Willow related. Definitely want to innovate there with products. And I think the website needs an overhaul. I think we need to change what we're doing. So many of my competitors now have completely copied what I do on the website, and to the point where now everyone just looks the same because they've all copied me. So I want to innovate and sort of change the way that the website looks and feels, and the product journey and how people check out on the website. I think it all be changed. There's also some product ideas that I think we can integrate in some new products. So definitely want to focus on that with West Willow. The house that I just mentioned, that could be a goal for 2026. Again, I'm not going to force anything, and it's got to be right, and it's got to be the right house. So maybe 2026, but we'll see. And of course, posting more on YouTube, growing on YouTube. Maybe we can get to 200,000 subscribers in 2026. We shall see. But again, cheers to you guys. Thank you so much for watching every week, for subscribing, for watching this video, for supporting me, for enabling me to have this dream of being on YouTube and being a YouTuber. I watched YouTube for 10 years before this, dreaming of being that person who had a YouTube channel, and you guys made that reality come true. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.